Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of Matt Gets It. I'm your host, Matt Martinez. This is a sport debate show discussing the top headlines from around the sports world. And today with me, I have a very special guest in the booth, my man Dominic Archuleta.
Thank you for having me,
Man,
man.
I appreciate you coming on board and discussing what I think is a wonderful slate of topics today. I mean, we're going to be covering a lot of things from the NBA, the MLB situation currently going on, the NFL, and we actually got a great fight coming up this weekend. Actually, two great fights on a tremendous card in the UFC, which is, I think we should open up with that. Let's get that out of the way. You know what I mean? We got two championship belts on the line this weekend for UFC 248. We got the middleweight championship, of course, the main event. We got Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya, facing off against Yoel Romero, who, in my eyes, might be the scariest man on the planet. Like, this is just an insane matchup, and I guess, who do you got this weekend, and how do you see it panning out?
Yeah, first off, it's going to be a great fight. Good slate of fights this weekend. Even the prelims are going to be nice. The co-main event's going to be really good with the girls.
Oh, man, that is a tremendous co-main event.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But for the main event, I have to go with Adesanya.
You got Adesanya winning.
I think he's going to keep his 19-0 record undefeated. He's too long, too lengthy. I got him with a third round TKO.
TKO, and is it by punches, head kick?
I think it'll probably be a combination of both.
Combination.
But in the end, he's probably going to be punching him at the end.
Man, Israel Adesanya,
Oh, yeah.
for him to come out and say, I want to fight Yoel Romero, I think that's just a testament to the type of champion he wants to be. I mean, he wants to beat the best. I mean, that's the only way you're going to be the best.
You got to. To be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah,
That's what he's trying to do.
And it's no easy task. Yoel Romero is scary, folks. And I mean scary. This guy is a freak of nature. He is 6 foot, 185 pounds, and I am pretty sure it's completely muscle. I mean, you have guys in the UFC who have fought him post-fight have said it's like punching steel out there. You know what I mean? So it's just really interesting to me how Adesanya, is he going to be able to handle all the different types of things that Yoel Romero is going to throw his way?
That's true. I don't know if Adesanya's fought somebody so stout and such a tank like Romero, so it's going to be an interesting fight. Good matchup of different styles. I think
it's a tremendous style because obviously you got the background of Yoel Romero, who is a silver medalist in the Olympics. He took second in the 2000 Sydney Olympics in wrestling. I mean, there's All-American wrestling and then there's world-class wrestling, and he was a champion at that level. So, I mean, I don't see Adesanya trying to take it to the ground just because of that background that Romero has.
Yeah, I just think with that background, Romero should be trying to take it to the ground because Adesanya's so long up top. But I think Adesanya, with the different kind of moves, the spins, the kicks he has, I think it'll catch Romero off guard.
See, the thing with that is if Romero tries to take him down, he's going to have to get inside.
Oh, yeah.
But is he going to be able to close the distance with Adesanya?
Yeah, how lanky he is. It's going to be tough. I'm excited. It's a great one.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I mean, you got Israel Adesanya coming off a unification bout against Robert Whittaker. I mean, this guy pretty much knocked Robert Whittaker out in the first round right at the buzzer, and then he comes out in the second round and puts him away. I mean, Yoel Romero has fought Robert Whittaker twice, and I believe Robert Whittaker is 2-0 in those fights, and for Adesanya to come out against Whittaker and dominate like that, I mean, it's just really intriguing in this matchup. But man, Yoel Romero, I mean, this dude has some of the...
You can't get that image out of his head.
Yeah, man. Some of the knockouts this guy has had in his MMA career, like, it really puts people on notice, like, how dangerous this man is.
Yeah, one punch and he could end the fight.
One punch, one knee. I mean, he has several flying knees for knockouts. I mean, he's knocked out two former middleweight champions in Chris Weidman and Luke Rockhold. Like, this is no easy test.
He made Weidman look pretty bad.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he made Weidman look horrible. And Weidman's a great fighter, but once again, it's that levels of wrestling. Chris Weidman is a two-time All-American, but like I said, Yoel Romero is a world-class medalist at the Olympics. So it's really interesting to see that. What are your thoughts? You know, if Adesanya does win this fight, I mean, what does he do next? Does he try to sweep out the division like he's been saying, or do you think the UFC is going to give him that big money fight?
I don't know. I know he's been trying to get at John Jones for a while to get that big money fight.
Yeah, he's going right at him. I mean, they're exchanging on Twitter. It's pretty fun to watch.
That fight would be something else. That fight would be a style of two guys who are pretty similar, lengthy guys, undefeated, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be a great fight. But I don't know, because Dominic Reyes gave John Jones a good fight. So I think they should run that back first.
You're thinking Jones should run the rematch back with Reyes before he thinks about fighting Adesanya. Well, the thing with that is Adesanya would have to go up in weight.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be pretty hard for John Jones. I mean, he probably walks around 230. Yeah. So you figure he already cuts 20, 25 pounds just to get down to the light heavyweight limit. And if he's going to go down to middleweight, that's 185 pounds.
Adesanya would probably have to go up.
He would definitely have to go up. But do you see him making that leap anytime soon?
I honestly don't think so. I think he's going to try to stay at the division, try to sweep it out. Any challenger that comes up, I think he's good enough to probably put them to bed.
Yeah.
And I think he'll remain the top middleweight champion for a while, kind of like how Anderson Silva was.
Yeah, I mean, he took out Anderson Silva. Yeah. I mean, that was a very crazy style fight. I mean, you have both guys who could throw a variety of ways. I mean, it was a really good fight to watch.
It put Adesanya on the map for sure. And now look at him. He's a champ. He's about to defend his belt.
Yeah, man. So great main event that we have coming up this weekend. But before we even get to the main event, we got the co-main event, and man, that's another good fight that we have coming up. We got the UFC Strawweight Championship on the line between Zhang Weili of China, who is the first UFC champion ever to come from China. So, I mean, that's mad props to her for putting, China on the map. And I think that's just a testament to really how big and widespread MMA is becoming. Because, I mean, it's diverse. We got champions from multiple continents. But Zhang Weili is a dangerous woman, but she has a tough task in facing the former strawweight queen that she officially calls herself, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So, what are your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting matchup just because Zhang is so aggressive, but Joanna is good backing up with her punches. She's good, coming with the
combinations.
Yeah, the combinations.
What I mean?
She has the hands, but I think she's gonna get overpowered by Zhang. Zhang's too aggressive. She's kind of a pit bull out there. She doesn't stop when she senses the fear in you, and I think it's gonna be a quick one. I think it's gonna be a knockout by Weili in the first round.
Well, I mean, you talk about Zhang being a pit bull in the cage. I mean, she won the belt in 42 seconds in her first title shot. I mean, if anyone out there saw that fight, she was hitting Jessica Andrade with a variety of combinations, whether that was with her elbows. I mean, she was kneeing her to the face several times, throwing punches. I mean, that was a ferocious knockout.
She's brutal when she's in the ring, which is why I think, Joanna doesn't have a chance, and it's going to be a quick fight. I don't know about 40-something seconds.
Yeah.
I think it'll last a minute or two, but it'll be pretty quick, and Weili's going to stay the champion of strawweight for a while. She's going to be tough to beat.
And with Joanna, I mean, she's coming off a very nice win over Michelle Waterson, who was possibly in line for a title shot if she ended up winning that fight. I mean, she was on a 4 or 5 fight win streak. She got matched up against Joanna, and Joanna dominated Michelle Waterson, and Joanna came out and said, I'm going to reclaim my strawweight belt. I mean, granted, she is 16-3, but 2 of those 3 losses were to Rose Namajunas, and who was another terrifying champion in that division. So, I mean, it's not like Joanna's fell off. I mean, she lost twice in a row to a world-class fighter.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be a walk in the park, but I do have to agree with you that I think Weili Zhang is going to come out victorious. However, Joanna's a dangerous woman, man.
She is. She's good on the rebounds with her punches. But I just can't get over how good Zhang is with the knees. They're so aggressive. The kicks, the punches. It's going to be quick, in my opinion.
It is going to...
When do you think it's going to end?
Man, I honestly have no idea. I mean, I'm just hoping that, no serious injury takes place. I'm hoping that the referee lets him fight a little bit, doesn't, try to stop it early. So I'm hoping just it goes the full 5 rounds of a championship fight. I mean, realistically, I don't know. That's just what I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
but I could see either one of them coming away victorious. I mean, it's a tough matchup here. I mean, we got Joanna has a 2.5-inch reach advantage, you know what I mean? But that necessarily doesn't really matter with Weili Zhang because she'll come out attacking.
Oh yeah, she closes distance quick. But I think Joanna, she's a really good boxer, definitely.
Oh yeah,
she pieces people up.
Her counter striking is probably one of the best in the women's division.
Oh yeah, definitely one of the best. But it's hard to counter strike when you're just constantly getting pummeled with blows, knees, kicks, and everything. With like Weili comes at you with.
If you see Weili Zhang's workout routines on her Instagram, it's pretty intense, man. I mean, she's
crazy.
She's like holding a split stance, like with 80-pound dumbbells in her arms, like.
Yeah,
for a woman that's 115 pounds, like that's impressive in my eyes.
She trains different, and that's why she's gonna be the champ, and I think she'll be the champ for a while.
So, if Weili Zhang is to come out victorious, she's hinted at possibly challenging Valentina for, her title. But it's pretty hard. I mean, like, with the 4 women's divisions in UFC, 3 of those, all the champs are dominant. So,
all dominant.
I mean, do you see it going as a super fight for someone trying to be a champ, or do you think Weili Zhang tries to take the same approach as Adesanya and clean out her division?
Yeah, I think first she should try to clean out the division before she tries to step up to that super fight against Valentina. But those two in the ring together would be a crazy matchup. But first off, I think she needs to clear the division, probably get a couple more fights under her belt in the strawweight, and then just prove that she's the most dominant strawweight out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point to make. I mean, you still have a variety of contenders in that division.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Jessica Andrade was just previously the champ. I mean, she's still in the mix. You got, like I said, Rose Namajunas is in the mix. Michelle Waterson. I mean, she did lose her last fight, but I mean, so she's still 5 out of the last 6 fights that she's come out victorious. She has an upcoming fight with what's her name? I can't think of her name right now. But Carla Esparza. That's who she's fighting. She's fighting Carla Esparza, and Carla Esparza was the winner on the Ultimate Fighter for the women. So I mean, she was the first champ, I believe, for the strawweight. So yeah, I mean, it's a great fight coming up. It's just a tremendous card that's coming up for the UFC. This is probably one of the most exciting cards of the year so far. Definitely.
Yeah, 2 championships on the line. The prelims are going to be good. Yeah, there's a lot on the stake on this fight card, and it's exciting that, like you said, no injuries, good fights. 5 rounds would be ideal for both the championships.
Yeah, both fights. That would be awesome. Full 5 rounds of action.
It'll be a good weekend.
That would be something for Adesanya and Romero in particular. 5 rounds of them going at it. Oh man.
Yeah, that would be a spectacle. But can Romero last 5 rounds?
That is true. I mean, I guess the biggest question coming into that is he gonna make weight? He's had a few problems in the past making weight. I mean, he had a title shot opportunity in years past against Robert Whittaker, and he didn't make weight. You know what I mean? And he ended up really taking it to Whittaker that fight.
Could have been the champ.
He could have easily been the champ. If he makes weight, maybe the judging is decided a little differently. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
He could very well be the champ. but
We'll see.
we'll see, man.
Great weekend.
Great weekend of fights. Make sure to tune into UFC 248 to see that. We got Adesanya versus Romero for the middleweight championship, and then we have Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk for the UFC strawweight women's championship. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're gonna take a small break, and we'll be back to discuss some NBA basketball. Hello, everyone. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is Matt Martinez, the host of the Matt Gets It Sports Talk Show, a sports-based debate show discussing the top headlines from around the sports world. Joining us right now in the booth is Jackson Roberts. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. What's going on, Matt, Dom? How are you guys?
Good.
I'm excited. Good. I'm excited to talk some hoops.
Yeah, man, we got some good topics to discuss right now. The Clippers and Thunder last night, who matched up, and very intriguing matchup to say the least. Would you say that, Jackson?
Oh yeah, it's a good matchup. They could potentially meet in the playoffs if the Thunder are like the 6th seed and maybe the Clippers are at 3 right now. They're in like kind of a tie or maybe a 1-game lead over Denver right now. So they're the 2, but you could see that as a potential playoff match. I mean, I think that'd be pretty juicy because I'd like to see. They had that big trade in the offseason, so it would be fun to see Paul George go back up against Oklahoma City. It'd be fun to see Chris Paul play against the franchise he was with for so long.
He used to play for them.
It'd be great. So I thought, so based on last night, I mean, it wasn't that close because the Clippers are finally healthy. They haven't been healthy for a lot of the season. Pat Beverly's been out. Paul George has been off and on injured. Kawhi misses some games here with his injury management, but the last few games they've been really healthy. They've won 5 in a row. And when they're really healthy, they play great defense. I mean, holding Oklahoma City to 94 points in today's NBA is really, really impressive. And I think when they have that lineup out there of like their starters basically, or basically if you have their starting lineup of Beverly, Leonard, Paul George, Morris, and then instead of having Zubac in the first center, you throw in like a Lou Williams to help on offense, like that whole lineup can just switch and like play defense really well. It's really versatile. And so I think right now the Clippers are really hitting their stride. I don't know what your guys' takes on it.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I mean, Pat Bev, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard, I mean, that's a heck of a backcourt, wouldn't you say, Dom? I mean, they're able to switch 1 through 3. I mean, possibly even 1 through 4, 1 through 5. I mean,
yeah, I think their lineup is scary. Honestly, with those 3 guys, Beverly, George, and Leonard, they're two of them. Leonard and George are some of the 2 best two-way players in the league. I would say Leonard's probably the best two-way player in the league. Pat Bev's one of the best guarding guards in the league, and he's a bulldog in there. He doesn't take no for an answer. He doesn't let down.
First team all defense. I mean, it's pretty hard. I mean, if you're a ball handler in the Western Conference in the playoffs, no matter who you call for a pick, one of those guys is going to be guarding you almost every possession.
Yeah, definitely. They're like as you guys said, they're very versatile defensively, and I really like their ability to close hard in the fourth quarter. I think Kawhi Leonard is a very good difficult shot maker. So is Paul George, and then I think Marcus Morris, Lou Williams, Pat Beverly. Like if they're closing on the floor for you, Montrezl Harrell, I can't forget Montrezl Harrell. Like all those guys are just guys that you want on your team if you're trying to win a championship. They make like the winning play, whether it's getting a big rebound, whether it's like knowing where to be on defense, whether it's Marcus Morris and Pat Bev. I trust them to hit open jump shots when Kawhi gets double teamed late in games. So I just think the Clippers, in my opinion, are a lot better than their record indicates. Right now, they're 42-19. They're not going to catch the LA Lakers for the 1 seed. They're not as good as the Bucks in terms of their record. They're behind even like Toronto and I think Boston as well, or they're very close with them. Yeah, about the same record. But I think they're truly one of the league's elite teams. I really do expect them. If you're asking me, maybe we'll get to this a little bit later, but I think the Clippers are the front runners over the Los Angeles Lakers just because of the reasons I just talked about. I just think their record hasn't quite shown that. Yeah. But I think the Clippers are very scary, and they're on a great run.
No, they're definitely a scary team. I mean, every team has them on their radar right now, even for just regular season games. So, Dom, with that being said, is the Lakers truly the team to beat in LA?
I do not believe so. I am with Jackson. I think the Clippers are going to win the West, and it's partially because their defense, and it's partially because Kawhi Leonard. He's the best clutch player in the league, especially in the playoffs. He hits a different stride. He's a different breed in the playoffs. With Paul George to his side, I think that just only helps offensively and defensively. He might not have to guard the best player each night. So I think the Clippers are going to win the West. And
so then, who would you say out of those two, Paul George and Kawhi, who do you think does match up against LeBron if they do face each other in the Western Conference Finals?
That's a good question, but I would put Kawhi on him just because in the past, he's done well when he was with the Spurs against LeBron. And in big games, big situations, he guards well and he plays well and he comes up in the big moments. So that's why I'd put Kawhi on him.
And would you agree with that, Jackson, or would you maybe throw Paul George, Paul George has had a little bit of success against LeBron in the past, back when he was in Indiana. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be they have multiple bodies to throw at him because Marcus Morris also has played good on him as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of depending on lineups that the Lakers throw out. So, because you also have to really think about who's going to guard Anthony Davis. And kind of on paper, the Clippers don't seem to have a great matchup against Anthony Davis. It's probably going to be like Montrezl Harrell, maybe, probably not Zubac.
Do you think Morris guards him?
Yeah, I could say probably Morris or Kawhi. I would think Morris and Kawhi are the heavier of the two of Paul George. I think Paul George probably gets most of his time on LeBron. And then, honestly, I think they're going to throw multiple guys out. I think it's going to be. I think you're going to see some Kawhi, some Paul George, some Marcus Morris. I think those. I can only see those three. And in basketball is, man, the ball's flowing. Guys are setting screens, so sometimes they're going to get switched on someone different. So
you never know
it's
who's going to be in foul trouble.
Exactly. There's a lot of chess that's going to be played, I think. Like a lot of chess matches, and like if they were to meet in a series, you would see that evolve of, okay, LeBron, I'm going to try and get this guy to come set a screen so I can get switched on to, Pat Bev or Zubac or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of that going on. But the Clippers definitely have options. I think out of all the teams in the NBA, they probably have the best guys to handle LeBron. I think when you talk about the trio of Marcus Morris, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George, and even like Pat Beverly's small, but he can hold his own. As you saw, when the game was on the line, Christmas Day, he swatted it right out of LeBron's hands, game-clinching steal right there. So, he's small, but you can trust him to at least like give a good effort.
Yeah.
So I think that's who's going to be guarding. And honestly, man, the NBA needs a Lakers Clippers series. That we need a Lakers Clippers series
in the playoffs.
In the playoffs, we need it. We just need it. I'm gonna be so sad if they don't meet in the conference finals because there's just so many good storylines.
It has to go Game 7. It has to go.
And it's so interesting how it's basically 7 Laker home games. It's all in the Staples Center.
Yeah. All the Staples
There's
Center.
no traveling, and LA is Laker town. So it's gonna be so interesting, and that seems to be all that anyone's talking about. Shoot, that's all I'm thinking about. I want a Lakers Clippers, LeBron versus Kawhi, like contrasting LA styles. It's like you got. Remember just this summer, Kawhi said, "No, I don't want to join you. I want to go to the ugly stepsister and the LA Clippers." Like he did his own thing. That's kind of like, okay, LeBron and Anthony Davis might be a little insulted by that, or even the front office. So I just want to see that rivalry truly live up to its hype in the playoffs. So I started rambling, but I'm just excited about it.
So, Dom, on the flip side, do you think OKC has a chance of maybe making a run in the playoffs, possibly going to the Western Conference Final? Is it dependent upon what seed they get, which matchup?
Yeah, I think their matchup is huge. If they match up with the Clippers first round, or possibly even the Rockets, that's not a really good matchup. Lakers, terrible matchup.
Yeah.
So I think they're a tough team. I think they're a surprise team for me this year. I like seeing Chris Paul doing well in OKC with a different team. I like the young core they have around him with Gilgeous-Alexander. They got some vets in Gallinari, so they're honestly kind of scary in the playoffs.
Yeah, they could very well be a dangerous team in the playoffs.
Definitely,
You can't. Chris Paul, he has the playoff experience. Granted, he hasn't been to a finals or anything, but he's made clutch plays. He's just one of the best leaders in the game of basketball itself. And then you throw in the fact that say the Thunder do get matched up against the Rockets, I mean, is anyone going to be able to guard Steven Adams on the Rockets? I mean, you got
You're going to get conflicting styles.
Exactly.
It's going to be interesting who can dominate the game with their style of play. Because recently, I mean, this is a little bit of a different topic, but recently the Rockets have been really good about, like, it doesn't matter who you throw out there, we're going to make you play our way. We're gonna do our 5 out with our 5 perimeter guys, and we're gonna like put you in difficult situations for your big. But in terms of the Oklahoma City Thunder, back to them, I'm with you. I think they're like kind of a sleeper, dark horse, like because I'm a big Chris Paul fan. I think he hasn't gotten it done in the playoffs, but man, a lot of times it's just been like crazy circumstances or a lot of injuries.
He was a hamstring away from going to the finals 2 years
with
ago.
him. I mean, with the Clipper teams, him and Blake Griffin, they had some unfortunate injuries there with him, and then with Blake. Then one year they blew a 3-1 lead to the Rockets. Like, I don't know. I think Chris Paul gets a little bit too much hate. I think he's really good. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a clutch player. I think he dominates the game really well. I think he's someone I trust with the ball in his hands in the playoffs.
Definitely.
And right now, I'm not a huge fan of the Jazz or the Nuggets. I think they're good teams, but I think they're first or second round exits. I don't really see them being threats to the Lakers or the Clippers. But I do think that with Chris Paul, with Gilgeous-Alexander, as you mentioned, not enough people are talking about him. He's a good young player in this league. He's a really good young player in this league. With both of them handling the ball, playing good defense. Gallinari will hit his threes. Adams is tough as nails.
You don't talk about someone who sets a hard screen. That's probably the definition.
Dude, you don't want to get hit by him, man.
You do not want to get hit by that, man.
No, not at all.
That dude shows no physical pain.
Dude, you know he's like 24 years old.
Yeah, that's insane.
He looks like he's
That's
like
it?
35. Yeah, it's just the hair and the tattoos.
The hair and the
I thought
mustache.
he's at least 30.
He's like a relatively young player. He came into the league like 2012. He's been when he was like 18.
Yeah.
So he's like 24, 25, something like that.
He's from Gonzaga, right?
I don't know. I know he's from
Gonzaga.
New Zealand. I don't remember where he went to
That would
college,
make
but-
sense if he went
I
to
think he went to
Gonzaga.
Pitt.
I
think he did go to Pitt,
okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Now he was at Pitt.
Jackson, you brought up an interesting point that you just don't see the Nuggets being actual contenders, but realistically, they were a game away from being in the conference finals last year to Portland.
Give him some love.
No, that's a good accomplishment. They're a young team. But I think that they had to play the Spurs, and they went to 7 with a mediocre Spurs team. And then they went to 7 with a Blazer team that I didn't think was that good either.
But that is Popovich for a whole series. I mean, that is probably the greatest coach, mastermind of basketball, creating a game plan against you for at least 4 games. Wouldn't you agree, Dom? I mean, Denver, I thought, has a lot of intriguing pieces who is, like you said, is a young team who you never know. A right matchup goes their way. Maybe someone gets hurt. I mean, God forbid that happens, but I mean, it happens in NBA basketball.
Definitely. I'm a little biased towards my Nuggets because I'm from Colorado, but I think they're a little bit of a contender just because they have some experience. They came in the playoffs last year with no experience. They have an MVP candidate in Jokic. When he's playing his right ball, he gets everybody involved. Jamal Murray's inconsistent, but when he's hot, he gets streaky and he's hard to stop.
I agree with that. I mean, Jamal Murray, when it's going for him. He could hit down, step back 3-pointers from.
He's hot and cold.
I don't even know how many feet away from.
I mean, that's really going to be the key. Yeah. I think like they just maxed him out this summer. Like I said, I like the Nuggets. I don't have any problems with Jokic. He's arguably the best big man in the NBA.
Definitely the most.
He's super clutch. He's probably one of the more. He closes games for them so well.
Right.
But I think that they lack. Like, they have all these guys that are just like good, but then there's some days they're inconsistent. They're no shows. What are you going to get from Gary Harris? I mean, what are you going to get from Millsap? Is he going to be healthy? Porter Jr.'s great. I think he needs to play more.
I agree with that. I think Porter Jr. does need to get some more minutes.
I think that, you got like Jeremy Grant, and then they just traded away Beasley, who I liked. I thought he was playing good, but they have Morris off the bench. I don't know. I really was big on that. Denver needs to consolidate their depth. They have like 12 guys that they can play. They need to use some of those pieces to go out and trade for like a Drew Holiday or a Bradley Beal. If they would have done that, then I think they would be like, okay, they're with Lakers Clippers tier. But right now, I just think they're a step below that. If they meet in the playoffs, I think it's over in 5. If Denver has home court, maybe 6. But otherwise, I just think they're a fun, competitive, tough team. But I really don't see them as a true threat for championship contention between LA.
Both
LA teams. And honestly, man, I'd probably put the Rockets over them. And I don't know. The Thunder would be interesting. They don't have as much talent as the Thunder don't have as much talent as Denver, but I think they're a little more savvy. I trust them to maybe win those games a little bit more. But I think they just need another guy that they can trust with the ball, because it's hard to initiate offense in the NBA through a big man. And Jokic does a great job at it. He's amazing, but you just need an upgrade, I think, from Jamal Murray and Gary Harris. When you think about like LeBron's and Kawhi's and Paul George, like I don't think that backcourt's just quite good enough to get it done.
So I think with Denver though, Michael Porter Jr. is going to be their key to how far they're able to go in the playoffs, because when it comes down to it in the playoffs, you got to be able to put the ball in the hoop. You know what I mean? And Michael Porter Jr. is a very talented, up and coming young NBA player who could have very easily been a top 5 pick if he didn't get hurt his freshman year at Missouri.
Yeah, he's been really entertaining to watch, and he's just like really versatile. Like he can kind of create for himself a little bit. He's a pretty good. Everyone fits next to Jokic, but like he works next to Jokic because Jokic can do his whirling and twirling and then like kick it out to Porter for 3, and then like he's just bigger. He can shoot over people, or he can like kind of do his little like he can put the ball on the ground a little bit, and he gives him some nice length. Like in terms of if you have Jokic who's like 7'2", Porter's like a big 6'10", 6'11".
Michael Porter Jr. looks like a mini KD.
He's gonna be exciting to watch. But
I think he has a lot of the skill set that KD possesses. I mean, when you're 6'11", 7 foot with that quick of speed and able to get a shot off at that height in which he releases the ball, I mean, you can't teach that.
And he's got a lot of potential, and like Jackson said, and you guys said, he needs to play more, I think he needs to get more minutes. He needs to get in his rhythm, especially before playoffs, because he's going to be key. We need the offense off the bench. He should be our 6th, 7th guy coming off the bench. So.
First one coming in.
I think with Paul Millsap, who's making a good amount of money, you kind of feel as a coach or as a front office like
obligated to play
exactly
him.
A little bit obligated there. And Jeremy Grant's a good defender. He's nice, and then Torrey Craig, he plays solid defense, but I agree, none of them have the ceiling, the high potential that Porter has. They've been easing him along a lot. Like I saw Porter only played like 7 or 9 minutes a couple nights ago, and I think they tried to ask him about it post game, and he was just like, "I'm not going to talk." Like he was just not happy about it. No. So that'll be an interesting situation to watch, because sometimes most of the best players come into a situation where the team's bad. They get to play 30 minutes. They get to shoot all the shots. He's someone who's like one of the best players in his draft, but is on a contending team. So he doesn't have maybe the luxury of making a bunch of mistakes. He has to come in and like play a role and like play really high level.
He can't mess up because those minutes are so valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he has to be able to come in and perform right away and contribute. So I mean, very fun matchup possibly if we do get to see Clippers OKC. Like Jackson said, you got a lot of history with that. I mean, Paul George played for them a year ago. Chris Paul was on the Clippers several years ago. I mean, a lot of factors coming into that. So exciting stuff coming up. But for right now, we're going to stick with the Western Conference playoff picture. And with that being said, Dom, do you think Memphis holds on to that last spot, the 8th seed?
I know this is a big topic, and I really don't. I see Zion and the Pelicans making a big charge at the end of the season and taking over that 8th spot. Not only will it be great for the ratings playing the Lakers first round against the Pelicans, the little Zion-LeBron matchup.
How about that story? Like, you got the Pelicans who traded away arguably a once-in-a-generational talent in Anthony Davis to the Lakers because the Lakers needed another superstar to get over that hump to pair with LeBron James. So, I mean, you got a lot of things with that. I mean, you got all the players who have gone from both sides to one another.
Yeah.
You got Zion, who is being declared the next LeBron, you know what I mean? I mean, they matched up. The other night, LeBron had 35 or
Zion at 35.
Zion
LeBron
had
had
35. Yeah.
LeBron like a 30-point triple double.
Yeah,
so it was
so
super entertaining.
In year 17, so I mean that could very well be the first round matchup, and if that happens, I mean, do you think LA just walks through the Pelicans?
I do. Yeah, LA's pretty dominant. LeBron in the playoffs, he's something else
Just
too.
another mode,
He is
right?
another level. Him and Kawhi, they hit this another level, another stride. And Pelicans, they got Zion to maybe guard LeBron, but anybody guarding Anthony Davis, it's pretty much a mismatch. So I'd probably take the Lakers in a 4-game sweep.
And would you agree with that, Jackson?
Yeah. So you think that Dom? You think that the Pelicans will get the 8 seed if you had to predict?
I do. I think Memphis is going to drop out, and I think the Pelicans will come and get it.
So it's interesting. I've been looking at. There's 4 or 5 teams
there's 4
right there.
teams.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
you got Memphis in the mix, the Pelicans. You also got the Kings and the Spurs.
And the Trailblazers.
Yeah, the Trailblazers.
So Dame Lillard was out for a few weeks with his groin. He's
yes.
back now.
He's coming back. You know.
Yeah. So this is tough. I think if what do I want? I want the Pelicans 8 seed. I want Zion versus LeBron. I want all that. I want the old young core Lakers who now want to get that redemption. Like I want all that. You know, that is a ratings dream. I think the Grizzlies are going to continue and hold on to it. But it is interesting. Their schedule gets harder. I don't know if you look. They got some tough matchups with some the best Eastern Conference opponents coming up. The Pelicans have a pretty easy schedule.
Yeah, the Pelicans have, I think it was the easiest remaining schedule out of all
Yeah.
those teams that are right there on the bubble. I mean, and Memphis, I think, had the hardest schedule remaining. So, I mean, it's really interesting to see. But, I mean, I really love the attitude that the Grizzlies are displaying, and it's primarily because of John Morant.
Yeah, and they play good defense. They got they need to get what's his name back, Jaren Jackson Jr. He got injured for a little bit. He needs to come back and help them a bit. I imagine, I don't know how much longer he's out, maybe another week or two. But if he can come back and really help them, they've got a 3-game cushion, so they do have some cushion here. The Kings, I mean, dude, I don't think anybody wants to see the Kings in the A spot. They're kind of a fun team at times, but not compared to these other teams.
Yeah.
They have potential. They do have
Portland's been
potential.
so disappointing.
Man, and that's primarily because of injuries, man. I think
they're injured.
If Portland was healthy for the majority of the season, I think they would very well be around that 4, 5, 6 seed in the West.
Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah, they don't play good defense either, though.
they don't, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, are you going to be able to put the ball in the basket? And that's something Damian Lillard does very well.
Yeah.
I mean, he proved that time after time, and it seems like it's only getting better as he gets older and the farther he goes in the playoffs.
Yeah. And then the Spurs, I know are really trying hard because they've been in the playoffs 22 straight years, so nobody wants to be on that Spurs team that didn't make the playoffs after 22 years. But I think they need to make some changes to their team in the offseason. They've just been super inconsistent this year. I don't foresee them being the 8 seed. I think it's really between Memphis and the Pelicans. Those are the 2 best teams. But in my opinion, I've been watching a lot of the Pelicans lately, and they just have got to sharpen up on their defense. They gave up 139 points last night to Minnesota without Karl Anthony Towns. There's just not bad rotations, bad communication. Zion doesn't really play defense. He can. He's a capable defender, but right now he's always looking for fast break opportunities, so he likes to leak out and doesn't really want to guard up. So I think it's probably the Grizzlies because I just think they already have that 3-game cushion and that they play the best defense. But man, I want Zion. Here, I was telling someone this the other day. This is my dream playoff scenario. Is I want 1-8 to be Lakers Pelicans. That'd be amazing. I want 1-4 to be Rockets versus Lakers with because the Lakers are big and then the Rockets are small. So how's that gonna work?
Yeah.
Who's gonna win their style of play? And then 1-2, I want Lakers Clippers in the conference finals that, and whoever wins there. That would be a dream in terms of ratings. So, but in terms of the 8 seed, I'm gonna put my pick on the Grizzlies. What about you, Matt?
Grizzlies, I'm in agreement with Dom. I think the Pelicans are going to catch them primarily just because of, a little bit of more experience on the Pelicans end. I mean, Drew Holiday, in my opinion, is the most underrated player in all of the NBA. I mean, you got a 2-guard who they had playing point guard, averaging 6, 7 assists, 5 assists a game. I mean, he's a lockdown defender. I mean, he could create his own shot. He's averaging over 20 a game right now. I mean, then you factor in Brandon Ingram, who has a very good case of being the most improved player this year. I mean, he's averaging close to 25 a game. I think he's averaging 25, 6, and probably around 3 assists. You know, not that great of a passer, but I don't know. I do think that the Pelicans need to tighten up their defense, which I'm not too sure why they're struggling with in the first place. I mean,
There's a young team.
Yeah, a young team, but I mean, their backcourt is stacked with defenders in terms of Drew Holiday, like we mentioned. Lonzo Ball is a very great defender. You know what I mean? He's 6'6" as a point guard. I mean, that's a great size. I do think the Pelicans are going to catch them in that aspect just because they're able to score the ball more. And if they just get their defense a little bit sharper, I think they're going to catch Memphis. I think Memphis has too tough of a schedule remaining. I mean, they're still very young. Granted, Morant and Jonas Valanciunas are playing great basketball, but other than that, I just don't see anyone else on the Grizzlies be able to carry them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun race.
It's going to be a very fun race.
How many games left we got? Like 20, 25?
About
20. Okay, so 60, about 20 to 22, depending on which team. Yeah, it'll be exciting to see I'm surprised that the 8th seed in the West is probably going to have like a losing record. We haven't seen that in a while. Because there's some years, man, where the 8 seeds winning like 48, 50 games.
I mean, that's a tremendous transition into our next topic, speaking of races and how tough the West is. Who do we have as a clear front runner for MVP? I mean, we got LeBron in the West, we got Giannis in the East, but as you just said, the West isn't necessarily as tough anymore, in my opinion.
1 through 7, it's tough.
1 through 7.
But 8, 9, I mean, because you have teams like the Warriors who hurt injuries. Blazers should be higher. Spurs, they've underachieved as well. So I think that's why it's like not quite as good. But yeah, are you saying how that'll factor into the MVP race? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. So do you think, who is your MVP right now? If the season ended today, who would you pick as MVP?
Yeah, man, I've been seeing a lot of stuff in the media about like LeBron MVP, and I just don't see it right now. I just don't see an argument to where Giannis isn't the MVP right now. There's 20 games left, and maybe the Bucks slide over the last 20 games. The Bucks go.
I mean, it is only a 4 game difference in record from the Bucks to the Lakers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just think right now Giannis is the best player in the NBA right now on an historically great team. They could have a shot at 70 wins. I think it's maybe because it's Milwaukee. Maybe because there's not like your huge stars. It's like Giannis and Chris Middleton and Bledsoe that people like don't talk about them as much. But this is truly a historic team, and I think Giannis is averaging I think it's like 30, 14, and 6 on like 55% shooting. He might win Defensive Player of the Year too.
So, as of today, the stats for Giannis are he's averaging 29.6 a game, which is 4th best in the NBA. He's averaging 13.8 rebounds, which is pretty impressive, but he should be averaging that. I mean, he's 7'5", what it seems like on the court, and how long he is. So I mean, he's top 5 in points and he's top 5 in rebounds. 5.8 assists. I mean, that's half of what LeBron's averaging, but the ball does seem to be the ball is in LeBron's hands more than it is Giannis's hands. So, Dom, with those numbers, who do you think is the MVP this year?
Yeah, I would have to agree with Jackson. I think Giannis got the best team in the league. They got a shot at 70 wins, which would be historic. Only the 3rd team ever. So I think he just had a 40-20 game the other night. 40 points, 20 rebounds.
No skill though.
Yeah, I know. No
skill.
skill. But yeah, I think he's the most dominant player in the league right now. Nobody can stop him coming down the lane. He's averaging almost 14 rebounds a game, almost 30 points a game. But you can't forget about James Harden. He's averaging 35, almost 36 a game. That's unheard of.
I mean,
everybody leaves him out of the conversation.
Everyone does leave James Harden out of the conversation. I mean, I think that was evident even last year when they gave Giannis the MVP award. I mean,
you thought James should have won it over Giannis?
Yes, I am a firm believer that James Harden should have won the MVP last year. You do not average 40 for an entire month? 30 days of him averaging 40 points and you're not gonna give him the MVP
Yeah, well,
award.
he shoots about 23s a game. He
I mean, he
should.
does shoot. I mean, he shoots a lot, but so okay. If Giannis shot that many threes, do you think Giannis would be averaging that many points?
Yeah, if Giannis had the same type of like usage and like the same style of play, like if he just was going down there isoing and just chucking, yeah, I think he would average
Even though
something crazy.
Giannis isn't that great of a
Well, I just
shooter.
mean if he played that way in terms of, I don't know, sometimes like I think the reason why he averages 5 more points per game is just more usage, more shot
usage.
attempts, more 3-point. I think Giannis plays a better style of play in terms of like he's
Within
a little bit
a
more
system?
within an offense. He's a little bit more, I think, like willing to pass, willing to play off the ball. Like Giannis is a huge threat even when he doesn't have the ball because he can like post up or he can like cut or he's getting offensive rebounds. Yeah, James does a lot of just like I'm gonna go
ISO
sit. I'm
ball,
gonna ISO,
yeah.
and if I'm gonna give it to Russ, and I'm gonna go sit out here
I'm
and
gonna,
like do
I'm
my
gonna
thing.
dribble the ball,
So I think-
30 times, and then if I still can't get past my defender,
So
pass it, get it right back, do the same thing.
I don't know. I mean, obviously Harden's one of the best handful of players in the NBA. I'm not trying to like make this slide on him, but I don't know. Maybe I have a little bit of like what's called like voter fatigue with Harden. He's just like kind of in the conversation every year. We've seen this before. He's great, but then he kind of messes up in the playoffs, and we don't really like watching James Harden. Let's be honest here. And so there's just a little bit of like I don't want to go
You
for
don't
it.
want.
No, you know.
Is
So
that-
no,
is
I don't.
Because he
I don't
shoots
have
so
these-
many free throws, is that what it is?
I mean, he's just.
Or is it
it's
because
such-
he just
he's re-
dribbles too much?
It's
not
a
really
little bit
team.
of it's a little bit of both. He just it's not entertaining to watch him dribble between his legs over and over and over and over and over, back and forth. I mean, it's effective. He's a great player, and then I think he does a ton of ref baiting and flopping. He'll initiate contact into you all the time and throw his arms up. And I mean, he's not even in the same tier of a defender as Giannis is. I mean, Giannis is a great rim protector. He can switch out and guard guys on the perimeter. I just don't really see him in the MVP discussion this year. I think he deserved it when he won it back in 2018, and when the Rockets had the best record in the league. He deserved it that year for sure, but not this year.
Not this year.
I think it's very clearly, I see there's a Giannis tier, there's a LeBron tier, and then there's like Harden mixed in with a few other guys. Maybe like Anthony Davis you could throw in there. Jokic, yeah, Jokic for sure. Who else would I maybe put in there? No, that's probably all worth mentioning.
Well,
for MVP.
when healthy, you got to definitely include KD. You got to include Curry, but that's if they're playing this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder what that would even look like this year because KD's with Brooklyn now. He's going to get a lot more. His style of play will be super different. Curry is going to go
Back to
more
his
back
old
to like
ways,
2015, 2016, unanimous MVP. days.
Clay is going to be coming back, so I mean that Warriors team is definitely going to be back in the playoff mix next year when they're fully healthy. I think even if Curry played this season, even though without Clay, they might still be 7-6. You
He
know
could
what I
be
mean in the
MVP
playoffs? Yeah, I
discussion,
mean
too.
yeah, easily. So
Well, when I look at the standings this year and I see that there's such a steep drop off from 7 to 8, it kind of makes you say, "Man, I wish Steph and Clay were healthy," because you know they'd probably be.
yeah, they'd be in that
they'd
mix
probably
for
be
sure.
there.
All 8 would be strong.
And so then you'd have 8 just like really
how,
good teams.
How about that? A Lakers Warriors matchup 1-8.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hypothetically.
Because I do think they would have fallen off this year. See, I was wrong on the beginning of the year. I thought, man, they don't need KD. They're going to be fine. But, like, they really dropped off after Steph, Clay, and Draymond. I mean, they had a bunch of G Leaguers basically out there. So I don't think they would have been as good.
How about Draymond's drop in
Oh,
play
he's
this
dropped
year
too.
without
He's not the same.
Clay
He's
and
not the
Curry? It's
he can't run the team by himself. Like,
Yeah.
he's
He
not
just
a
really
scorer
can't.
like
No,
that.
he can't. But he's really good at finding Steph and Clay and, like,
yeah.
initiating the offense and
Yeah.
everything. But you're right. Teams just don't guard him. They
They're,
really don't guard
they're
him.
essential for Draymond's success. Like, there's no way around it. I
That's
mean,
true.
the space they're able to create with all the screening that they're doing, Draymond, like you said, they don't guard him on the perimeter. I mean, the power forward or the center is literally standing around the free throw line. Like, are you gonna shoot?
They
the
want
ball?
him to take it.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I'm gonna pass it to Clay or Steph. So it's really interesting. Jackson, thank you for coming on air,
Thank
talking
you, Jackson.
some hoops with us. Great
Yeah.
in-depth discussions.
Appreciate it.
I mean,
Thanks for
very
letting me ramble
interesting.
on.
Oh, anytime, welcome. Once again, this is the Matt Gets It Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Matt Martinez, and thank you for tuning in.